I'm Ed Lebo. I'm director of the Public Art Program with the Phoenix Office of Arts and Culture, and it's great to see all of you online, and great to welcome Bill Dambrova back again. This is the nearly 20th, I think, or 20th in a series of online professional development workshops we've been doing, and that dates back to August of 2020. Almost all of those workshops are up online at our website, phoenix.gov/arts, and find your way to the workshops, and perhaps we'll plug that into the chat. They're there as a resource for everyone to look at their leisure, and so we would encourage you to do that, and also to share it with artists that you know of or other arts professionals who you think may benefit from these workshops. They range widely from how-tos, as we're doing today, to sort of 10,000-foot and closer views of public art projects, how they got done, and some of the challenges that we all encounter in making stuff happen. So with that, I welcome you all. I'd like to turn it over to Katie Byaris. Sorry, Katie, I'm getting used to this. And then also then turn it over to Barry Sparkman, who will introduce Bill Dambrova. But I did want to acknowledge Doug Oland here, who's our collections manager. He can wave from his blank screen, perhaps. We're all part of the public art program at the Office of Arts and Culture, and we're delighted to have you. So, Katie, you want to talk a little bit about the ground rules for today, and then also some of what we have coming up in April.
Yep. So for today, we are going to record this session, and then it will be posted to the YouTube page that I popped in the link into the chat box later on, so you can be able to access that recording. So if you could keep yourself on mute during Bill's presentation, that helps us with our sound recording for that archive of the workshop. At the end, we will take questions. Feel free to type any questions in the chat box while Bill is presenting. We can pause and answer those questions, or you can just save them until the end if you like as well. I would recommend typing them into the box because you might be able to get them answered quicker than if you wait till the end, because last time we ran out of a little time. This is really great information, and Bill digs really deep. So that's kind of housekeeping for today. Coming up starting in April, we're going to do a series of 4 presentations by the 4 artists who have completed projects in this last year of 2020. We're still building projects, surprisingly, while everything else was quiet and slowing down. We were able to continue with construction and complete 4 major public art projects here in the city of Phoenix. So we are going to highlight each of those starting next Thursday morning and talk about and celebrate in lieu of in-person ribbon cuttings. So you'll get to hear from the artists actually talk about their work and their process of building the 4 most recent projects that we've completed here in Phoenix. So stay tuned for that. There'll be an email going out from our office, and then you'll be able to find it on Eventbrite and other places as well. Barry, will you do our introduction of Bill, please?
Absolutely. Thank you all for spending some of your Thursday morning with us, or morning for us locals anyway. Bill is a native of Arizona, and he has a studio art degree, a BA in studio art from Arizona State University. He's exhibited his studio artwork locally and nationally in galleries and museums, and is also included in many public and private collections around the country. He just recently installed a large-scale a new exhibition of large-scale paintings at the Ice House here in Phoenix, and he has a solo show of large-scale paintings scheduled for the Mesa Arts Center coming out in 2023. For those of you who aren't local, Mesa is one of the suburbs of Phoenix. In addition to Bill's studio practice, he's developing a public art practice. He just recently designed a 6,000 square foot terrazzo floor for the new SkyTrain station at the rental car center at the local airport. That project is complete, and the brightly colored design is based on his paintings. It's a really beautiful floor. Bill's interest in artifacts and biology, which inspired his studio paintings, led him to have a dual career that he mentioned earlier. He's both an artist and an exhibit designer specializing in natural history museums, zoos, and aquariums. He's designed for many really prominent institutions around the country, including the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles County, the Monterey Bay Aquarium, the Navajo Nation Museum, and the New York Botanical Garden. The computer skills that Bill developed to become an exhibit designer, combined with his studio experience, really position him well to lead these workshops. We're very glad that he's doing this for us, and thanks, Bill. Take it away.
All right, I'm going to jump right into sharing my screen. All righty, move you guys out of my way here. Okay, can everybody see my screen? Okay, cool. I usually do a longer PowerPoint kind of with an introduction, but this is sort of a part 2 to last 2 weeks ago's workshop. I'm going to kind of jump in where we left off, but also still try to, since we have new people here, go over some of the basics as I'm speaking about what I'm trying to show you here. Because I have 1 hour, I mean, a lot of these moves that I'm going to show you in the next 5 minutes, if you went to a YouTube tutorial like this guy has, one of these moves, I just watched it yesterday. It was 16 minutes long just to show you how to do an array, which is what Doug asked me to do, a divide and multiply. And I'm going to show you how to do that in like 20 seconds. So I want to really encourage you to, as you're learning SketchUp, do a lot of right clicking and play around with the buttons and really just get in there and try to use it intuitively. And then as you get to know what the meanings of things are, like what the names of the buttons are and stuff, it's a lot easier to go to YouTube and type in, how do I do an array in SketchUp? And then you can find a tutorial. And I really recommend this guy, Justin Gies. He's got, I don't even know, hundreds of YouTube tutorials. And I was looking at his stuff yesterday to figure out some of the moves in layout that I didn't know, because there's so many different ways to do one thing in all of these programs. So definitely don't be afraid to look on YouTube and, type in whatever your question is. SketchUp also has a help section, but I feel like this guy really nails it. Today I'll be using a Mac. So some of when I describe a keystroke that I'm doing, it's different on a Mac than it is on Windows. I know the command is Control and Option is Alt, but other than that, I'm probably not going to say what it is on both machines as I go, and that's just something you'll figure out as you go anyway. It's pretty simple. I'm using SketchUp Pro 2020, and it comes with Layout. This whole time, the past 5 years, I think, it's come with Layout, and I've never used Layout because I've always used Vectorworks. One of my last workshops talks about how I take SketchUp models and import them into Vectorworks. They're really compatible together. There's even an Import SketchUp tab or a button in Vectorworks that allows you to do that really simply. And then recently working at the Monterey Bay Aquarium, we got a new project manager and he uses Layout, and he sent me a template to use Layout. So I started using Layout, realizing, wow, this could save like thousands of dollars. It cost me $250 a month to pay for the Vectorworks subscription. And SketchUp is a fraction of that per month. I think that now SketchUp does subscriptions as well. And then to really get the full use out of SketchUp, I use a mouse with a little rolly ball and a button, so that when I'm orbiting around, if I'm looking at this in 3D, I can mash down this button and move back and forth, which I'll show you a little bit as I'm working today. And then, the left click and right click and all that kind of stuff. So the more buttons you have on your mouse using SketchUp, the better for you to just be able to feel like you're really molding something out of clay. As an artist, that's really important. I mean, I'm not a super math guy, so being able to move around in SketchUp and orbit around something and push and pull things and extrude things really fast, having a mouse with all these buttons on it really helps. And then the thing to remember when you guys start playing with SketchUp just on your own, group everything. That means if you have an object that's made of many parts, you select the entire thing and then hit group, and it'll group that thing. So when you put that next to another group of objects, it doesn't stick to it and get all convoluted, and you can't pull it apart without a kind of an awful geometric mess, let's say. And then a lot of the moves are click, drag, click. So you would click your mouse and then drag across and then click again. Whereas like in this PowerPoint program, you click and let go and the box disappears. So I'm going to dig right into the SketchUp and start showing you some of the stuff that Doug was asking about last time. So he was saying, how do you take an image and project it? How do you put it onto a curved shape in SketchUp? And for those of you that are new, I'll try to show you how to create, even just make this box as we go. The buttons here on the toolbar, pretty obvious. And I think if you hover over things, it'll tell you what they do. The rectangle tool, the push-pull tool, it's a big one. You can draw things, by line, just like any other, Photoshop or anything like that. So first we want to just create this box that has a curve on it. You'd start by grabbing the rectangle and then holding down click. I'm let going of the mouse and then I'm dragging, I'm not clicking anything yet, and then click, and then you get the rectangle. That's what I mean by click, drag, click. And then you can grab the push pull tool or the extrude. This would be called extrude in Vectorworks. And then you hover over your new shape and you get these little dots, which means now you can move it around, push it and pull it. And you can, if you want to have this box be the same size as the box near it, you can hover over the box near it and it'll make it exactly the same height. So that's one way to create the box, but I want to show you this really fast, like I said, in seconds. So I'm going to just recreate what I have here. I'm going to take that rectangle, Command copy, Command V for paste. So Command C for copy, V for paste, and then set that right there. Actually, hang on. Copy, paste, set it there, pull out to however far you want. I'm going to grab this arc tool and then position my pencil here somewhere on the edge, and then it's going to show you how to make an arc. You click and then click again, and now I'm not pushing any buttons down with the mouse. I'm just able to move this arc up and down to wherever I want it. When it turns blue, that means it's a tangent. It's not turning blue at the moment. Anyway, trying to do this fast, creating an arc. And then I can get rid of that section here of the rectangle by hovering over just this plane and then pushing down, and then it disappears. So to be able to project an image directly on this without it tiling, meaning like, just bringing in an image. If I wanted to bring this image in as a texture, I did this earlier, hang on. Oh, hang on, I gotta get rid of all this stuff now. I really want to show you what happens when it's wrong. Okay, so if I just wanted to bring this in as a texture, you could drag it. You could just drag an image right into your colors in your materials box. And there it is, okay? And then I can select it, use my paint bucket, and then click on that section, and what happens is it tiles it, and you don't want it to tile it like that. So I'm gonna hit Command Z to stop that. I need to project it exactly to the size of this curve. So I'm gonna take the back off of this, do another copy, and then to group all this for new people, you can triple click this whole thing. Click, 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 triple click it, Command G to group. And then I'm gonna hit Command V to paste my screen basically in front of it, and then move my screen out a little ways because I'm gonna project, I'm gonna put my image onto this thing, and then I'm gonna project it across to this curve. So I wanna get rid of this now so I can start over. Okay. Everybody following along okay? Thumbs up? Okay. So a lot of times to bring things into your SketchUp window, go to File and then Import. And then it's going to ask me to import my image. So here's my image on the desktop. Select it. Gives you formats. So this is where you can import it as. You can import different files in. So JPEGs, Photoshop, PDFs, etc. You want to turn this into a JPEG, and then this is really important. You don't want to import it as an image or as a new matched photo. I don't even know what that means. You want to import it as a texture so that it comes into your materials box here. So I'm going to import it as a texture, import, and then it allows you to drag it in and then put it on a face or wherever you want. If I just tried to put it on a face here, it wouldn't work. It would end up tiling similarly to what I just showed you. So I want to put it on the screen here. Click, drag, click, and then now it's ready to be projected. Okay. So what I want to do is, while it's still selected, left click on this plane here, left click. And that's another thing in SketchUp, always just left click on stuff and see what it allows you to do. Like you'll have options to, this is where you can group it or edit the group, explode, make it a component, stuff like that. So I'm going to left click on that and I want to go to texture and then project. And I want to make sure that this texture knows that it's supposed to be projected somewhere. So click project. And now this in your materials box knows that it's supposed to be projected somewhere. So now I can take my paint bucket and then click here, and what happens? This is what you don't want to happen. So you have to make sure you go to texture, make sure it's projected. I don't know why it's not doing what I want it to do. There you go. And it's projecting on all the sides because I didn't group it and because I didn't select a spot. So what I want to, oh, that's what it is. It's grouped. I need to ungroup it. I need to explode this. It's always good to see what I do wrong so you guys don't get stuck like that. So I want to now project this onto only the curve and it should work. So that's how you do that. I got to move on to the next thing. Is that helpful, Doug? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, man, thanks. That was it. Importing as a texture when you want something to become a picture inside your SketchUp model, import it as a texture.
For a curve, yeah. But if you wanted to just bring this in, say this was a gallery wall, make sure the screen is selected, grab your image, and you can just drag it in, and then you can put it on stuff.
Great.
Anything that's square like that. And a lot of times if I need it to be to scale, I'll draw the rectangle it needs to be in to scale. I pointed at my screen like you could see that. You know, you could type in 14 feet by 14 feet, and then it gives you that box, and then you can put whatever your image is right into that box at the exact scale that it's at. Oh, I might as well just show you this while I'm here. To make complex shapes, if you wanted to have, say, like a double curve or something like that, you can do things, I call them jigs. Say you wanted to have another curve, you wanted to take a chunk out of this and make a curve here. Group this real quick. This is the rotate tool. You can rotate things orthogonally. You can put your jig on top of the other object that you want to cut out. This is where it gets kind of tricky though. You have to ungroup everything or explode it. That was a left click to do that. So now that thing I talked about where if you tried to move this, it sticks, and this is that geometric mess you get. But what we want to do right now is create this. We want to cut this part out of this main object. So you can click, drag, release, and then select all the objects. And again, this is a left click move. If you go to intersect faces and then intersect with model, what it's going to do is cut all these parts out now. So you can hover over, select a section, and then just cut these parts out that you don't want. And this is how you get more complex shapes. So now you have like a weird curve and a weird curve, and you can just keep chunking away at this thing. It's just like, you know, pulling something out of clay, but rather than being able to pinch it, you're grabbing it with another object and taking parts out of it. Okay, got to keep moving here. We've already gone to 10:25, and I haven't even shown you guys layout yet. This is the other one, which
Quick
is
question,
yeah,
quick question, Bill,
no problem.
before we move into layout.
Uh-huh.
There's a question that says, will the notes be able to share after? I think your PowerPoint notes from the beginning, those will be recorded in the video, but would you have those like in writing to share after?
Yeah, I can email you that stuff.
Okay.
Hmm.
And then also, do you recommend one of the paid plans for SketchUp?
Yeah,
We've got,
especially if you're going to use it for, you know, for public art stuff, because I had a friend who just wanted to remodel his house, and we were doing the Zoom thing together, and I was showing him all the moves in SketchUp, and then when he went to get the free version, half the stuff I showed him wasn't available, and it was really basic stuff.
do you know of any artist discounts for SketchUp?
There's probably student discounts, but I've had SketchUp for probably 15 years now, and I'm even grandfathered in. Like I didn't have to pay hardly anything for my subscription, and I got it through one of the places I worked in-house at the time. So I really don't know much about the ins and outs of purchasing SketchUp, so I can't help you with that. Sorry.
Okay,
Okay.
that's all for right now. Move on.
Cool. Yeah. More advanced SketchUp moves. So this is the other thing that actually comes up a lot with public art. Is having to repeat a pattern over and over again. If you're going to make like a barrier or something like that, or a fence that has a bunch of fence posts, say if you want this to be evenly spaced across this section here. And this was another question by Doug, which is a great question, because I usually just do it manually, because I never really have to do like 30 of anything. What I do quickly, if I only have to do like 5 or 6, is I'll draw a line here, and oh shoot, let me get this stuff out of the way for you guys. So up here is where you can see feet and inches, and be able to scale your drawing as you're drawing it. So you can see here as I'm moving this out, up there at the top, we're at 5 feet, 11, 6 feet, etc. You take your line tool, click, drag, but don't click yet. Type in 4 feet, enter, and it puts your line right at 4 feet. And so a lot of times this is how I would just do it really quickly. And again, I'm not, nobody taught me how to use SketchUp. I just kind of get thrown into the fire with projects and have to do things fast without really learning how to do them the proper way. But again, as an artist, this is more intuitive to me. So I would hit Command Group to group my pull and the line, grab the Move tool, and then where I want to move it from, hover over that corner, hold down the Option key, I think it's Alt in Windows, to copy something. So I'm holding down the Option key, holding down my left mouse, dragging across till I get to 4 feet. And I can just keep doing this, if I only got to do it 5 times, right? But if you need to do it like for 60 feet or something like that, I found out how to do this the other day really simply. You click on the post, go to your Move tool, go to where you want to start. My post is 12 inches by 12 inches. And so if I want to move it 3 feet, I hold down the Option key just like I did before, hold down the mouse, and then move across the red line here, which means I'm moving in a straight line. And I'm going to go to 4 feet so that I know that there's 3 feet in between here, okay? And before you're doing anything else, don't click anywhere else. Make sure this is still highlighted blue. And then I'm not even going to put my cursor here and click. I'm just going to use the asterisk key. It basically means like multiplication. You can either use an X or an asterisk. And just go ahead, and I'm not touching the mouse. I'm not touching anything else. Shift asterisk to make the Shift 8 to make an asterisk. And then I'm typing in 60 for, so I want to do these 60 times. And then I'm still not touching the mouse, hit return, boom, did it 60 times. And make sure that text isn't from one of you guys telling me you can't hear me. And then, so that's how you get an array of things, or not an array, but like a multiply and divide kind of situation here. Okay, and then so this crazy sculpture is just me messing around making a trampoline thing that is in the shape of sort of a heart as my my example for how to put things into layout. And so part of this, making this, also has to do with multiplying and dividing. So if I wanted to do this on a circle, I'm sure this happens a lot in public art as well. I took this cylinder out of here, and I took one of these ribs off and put it here already. But it's like you can click the object that you want to move, go to your move tool, or actually your rotate tool, excuse me, and it gives you this compass looking thing. Square it right in the middle, and then click once. Go out to your red orthogonal line here, and have your rib selected, and then I click again, and then if I move this without holding Option, nothing happens. But if I hold Option and then move it, I can copy it, right? And if you look up here, it'll show you the angle that we're at. So I want to go 15 degrees, and I'm still holding down my Option, not touching the mouse yet. Now I'm going to hit the left mouse to click it in place. I can do this manually, or I can do the thing that we just did, not touching the mouse, not touching anything, go to Shift-8 to get an asterisk, and then do ×10. Oh, what's going on there? And then hit Enter, and nothing happened. No, I think you know why it didn't happen, because I clicked the zoom or the WebEx thing out of the way, so I have to do it again. You really can't click anything. So I'm going to hold Option down, select it, now go to Shift-8 and do 20, and there you go. That's how you get that array. So you get a quick, interesting thing. And then we're at 10:30. That's good. I wanted to show you a couple more things really quick. Just as being an artist in SketchUp, being a sculptor, you can just play. Like, I don't think I got a chance to show you this. You can just not have to do anything to scale. Grab the line tool, use the push-pull, and just chunk out some sections like this. Draw lines on things. And then if you select this line and then grab the move tool, you can get some interesting things to happen with that stickiness that I warned you about earlier. Hover over that, and then just start moving things around. To create some weird new, not like that necessarily, just to create some weird new shapes. And so you can just carve into this and make, like as if you're working in marble or something like that. Okay. One more move I wanted to show you, like how do you get tubes? Like how do you get these spirally twisty tubes? One way to do that is to use the Follow Me tool. And so I've drawn this in advance here using the arc tool. As mentioned, you got to make sure that you're on the face and not drawing like this. You want to be working in the same plane. And so it'll tell you you're on the face. So click, and then I want to start another line, and see how it's turned teal or turquoise? That means I'm at a tangent. And then I can click, and that means I have a nice curve, a nice smooth curve there instead of a break, a hard edge break. So say I want to make a tube that's this long and this shape. I'm going to move this out here. This is where all this moving around I'm doing is what I talked about. I go into the little hand, which means to move in your screen. And then I'm hitting that center button because I programmed my mouse to switch to the orbit tool, which is also here. You can do like this by going to the orbit tool, but that just means you got to go like this and then grab the orbit tool and look like this. But if you have it in your mouse, I can just whiz around stuff and look at things really quickly and drive all you guys crazy as you're trying to see what I'm doing. So now what I want to do is create the end of my tube by going to the circle tool and hovering over the end, which takes a little bit of finesse because you want it to be you want it to be on the end the way I'm showing it, and then you can type in whatever size you want. I'm just randomly going to do this. So you don't want it to be, you don't want to accidentally be like this. That doesn't help you to create your tube. So we'll see if this works. Sometimes this works right away and sometimes not. Select the area that you want to follow you, and it's called follow me because you're going to take this face and have it follow you across this line. Okay, so this is the follow me. Hover, and then you kind of, so you click once and then go to your line, you kind of hover over your line and then have it follow you like that. And you got a tube, and you can just, you can make these tubes however you want using that method. Another cool tool, since I have a couple seconds left, is the follow me tool. I use this a lot when designing furniture. So if I want to create, say right now this box is basically a shell made out of planes. Like if I click on the top and show you here, if I wanted to send this to a fabricator and show them how I want these walls to be, I'd have to make these walls thick manually by hovering over it and trying to, I'd have to ungroup this whole thing and then use the push-pull to make this 1 inch thick or whatever. But a quick way to do that instead is to use the, what's it called? It'll tell me if you hover over it. I forgot what it's called. Offset tool. Thank you. And then hover over the area that you want to offset, click it once, and then hold down your left mouse button to this thickness you want to go, and then release. And now you'll get, you can make a tray by pushing this section down. That's another function that's really helpful. All right, so now while we're in here, I'm going to start showing you guys layout stuff. And really what I want to show you is what the fabricators need. And so the way I see this is that as public artists that don't really need to learn every single button in AutoCAD, I just want to show you, like, as a designer, I have to get kind of detailed with my drawings. We do these packages that we have to show fabricators, and I think that artists get a little freaked out thinking they have to do all this for the fabricators. But in my experience with public art, and even in design, I end up becoming friends with the fabricators, and we end up talking back and forth about what needs to be in the project. And I've had fabricators that they can even take a pencil sketch on a napkin and turn it into a drawing for you. But if you're like me and you want everything to be perfect, you really want to be able to show them exactly how you want things to scale, what colors things are and stuff like that. I'm showing you a package that I did for a project in North Carolina, just to kind of show you how detailed stuff needs to be for a project at that scale. Every single little component needs to be talked about, where it goes in the plan, that kind of thing. But what you'll notice is it all comes down to having a title bar that explains what the project is, having these little things, which I couldn't remember the name of these things for the life of me, and I tried to look it up yesterday to see how to create one in Layout, because it's not just a button that you can move as in other CAD programs. This is just called a drawing label. And most drawings, this is one of the important things you need in your drawing, because if you were to draw an object and then dimension it, see how there's only a couple dimensions on this? You don't need to dimension every single thing, because you're telling the fabricator what scale this drawing is, and they have a little ruler that says, they can convert 3/8 of an inch into 1 foot. So they can take the ruler and measure all this stuff out when they need to get dimensions for their project, or for your project. They can get the dimensions they need on their own. And so you basically need to tell them what scale your drawing is on the paper size that you're using. And it turns out a lot of fabricators don't have giant large format printers, and there's the paper size that you're used to seeing, like when the guy from the Brady Bunch lays out the giant plans or whatever for his architectural renderings. I got to a point where I just send 8.5 by 11 size 8.5 by 11 size paper so they can print it out on their own in their workshop. So this is a drawing I did for New York Hall of Science that is, it's just on 8.5 by 11 paper. And so I spell everything out instead of having, you know, front view, plan view, side view, all on one sheet. This would be a much bigger sheet of paper so you could see all the detail. You can put each thing on its own sheet, each view of your one object on a different sheet of paper. So this is just to give you an overview of what we're going to do in taking your SketchUp model and putting it into layout. Again, you don't really need all that stuff that you see in the big architectural rendering packages. You just need a title bar, a page number, and a drawing label to scale. So they know that when they print this out, they can take their ruler, and if it doesn't have a dimension on it, they can get the dimensions themselves. So just kind of running through, you know, and again, give them as much information as you feel like you want to give them. Like if you really want to be in control of how big the screws are, then you can type that in. If you don't, then you just let them know that you're leaving it up to them. I like to do exploded views to show them how I'd like the thing to go together. But again, the fabricators, to me, they're the experts. And I talk to them about these drawings and tell them, hey, if you've got a better, faster way to draw something or to build something, then please go for it. Just show me first. So, and to answer your question earlier, Doug, that was just to me, you can export just a page out of your layout as a DXF and then open it in AutoCAD and then send it to a CNC. But I don't think you can take a layout page like this as a PDF and send it directly to a CNC. But it's possible, and you can export your SketchUp models directly into DWGs, DXFs, and stuff like that as well. I just want to do a quick check-in. Katie, are you following everything? Am I making sense? Okay. Okay, let's see. 10:42, we got 15 minutes to go. Let's see here. So now I'm just going to jump right in and show you my quick way of using layout that I just learned. It's like the bare bones minimum of what you need. I'm going to take all these people out of here. Take the post out, take that out. So this template that I'm working in SketchUp, it's the basic one that shows you horizon line and stuff. There's a styles box, and a lot of the boxes that you need, like the layers and stuff like that, you can find them in your window drop down. So this is styles. You can bring up materials, which is your color. A lot of other options are in this Windows drop down. If you get lost or lose something, this is where to look. So I want to take this and change it into just a black and white background with texture. So there's a default option here. There's other cool things you can do also. You can do sketchy to make them, oh, that's nasty. There's one that's really cool that I like because it just kind of looks like a drawing. And sometimes I like to send these to people just so they know that it's not a final drawing. This is just, it's a sketch still. That's kind of what's nice about SketchUp. Like if you give them too much information, they might think they'll get stuck on, you know, what you're showing them and think that it's done. Let's see if I can get back to default styles and then go back to this one. Okay, so there's a bunch of different ways you can send things to layout. You can open up layout first and then try to go into another SketchUp window and import things from that SketchUp window in, or you can export directly from your SketchUp model. So say you've just been drawing this, playing around, and you want to import it into layout. You have these just want to explain really quickly what these things mean. Right now we're in this perspective view. You go to view, or camera, excuse me, and then go to parallel projection. And then this gives you more of the straight down look. So you're not missing any lines. If we go to perspective, it gives you kind of this forced perspective look. And then if you go here, this is the top view, front view, side view, other side view, back. Sadly, there's not a bottom. So a lot of times what I'll do is just select everything, and then you can go flip along, and then you can flip things. So I can flip it upside down, and then that makes my top view now is my bottom view. So one of those weird things. So now we've got this, oops. Don't know how that happened. Oh, I do. I hit undo and it brought back that thing. So I want to have my SketchUp window in parallel projection, and then just kind of start it as a front view here. And then to get it into layout, it's really simple. You go to File, Send to Layout. So a lot of times you export things out. This, you just want to send it to layout. It says Save My Model. So I'll hit Command S to save it. Send to layout. We have literally got 15 minutes to show you everything. And then it asks you to select a template. You can import your own templates, but say we're just starting for the first time and we don't have a template. I'm just going to go to letter because I know that I'm sending this to Barry or something, and he's just going to print this out on his computer at home. So now you've got a 8.5 by 11 sheet, and then we're in layout now. We're not in, this is SketchUp, this is layout, and I'm just going to go ahead and hide the SketchUp so that you know we're in layout. And now you just got a blank piece of paper that you can, you know, if you wanted to, you could start dimensioning things, but you don't know what scale you're in yet. However, I do know from checking earlier that it imported what's called 1-to-1. So it imported it to the size that you drew it in your SketchUp window. And I know that this is 21 feet because I checked it with it. So we already know that we dropped it in to scale, which is nice. And if I double click inside this window, I can come in here and move around, and then this is where it gets really weird, because if I go to click on this, you know, it's still 21 feet, but you don't want to be at this angle. You want to be front on. You want to be at those orthogonal positions. So one of those things I mentioned earlier, just I go to the arrow key to be default, do a right click, and then it gives you those standard views again, just like I showed you with the little houses in SketchUp. And I can bring it in, and I know I'm in perspective, which I think I want to be in, and then go top. Then it'll put you at top view. You just double check to see what perspective looks like. Yeah, we don't want to be in perspective. We want to be straight on. And then, you know, you can see what scale you're at, again, also by left clicking. And then there's a section here that says scale. And then we're at 3/16 equals 1 foot. So instead of trying to blow this up on the page and hoping the scale changes, the way to make this fit your 11 or your 8.5 by 11 paper better, you right click, go to scale, try out some different sizes. This is 3/16, so their little ruler that has 3/16 to 1 feet, they can go on your page already without you even dimensioning anything and finding out how big your model is. I'm going to go to 1/2 and see what happens. It's too big to fit my screen or to fit my page, so I'm going to go to scale 3/8. It's a little bit better. You know, you can click inside the window, but it's not fitting right. So again, strap for time, I'm going to go to 1/4. We know that fits. So there's two ways to move this thing around, and you know, you could either just be in the window by itself, or you can double click into your model and move it around. And so this is linked to your model. So if you go back to your SketchUp model and change stuff, it'll change in your layout, which is nice. That's a nice time-saving tool. So remember, all the fabricator really needs is to know what they're looking at. So you, in Vectorworks, there's a whole bunch of tabs here, and you can just drag a title block in, and you can just drag one of those drawing scale labels in. But here in Layout, you have to make your own, which is a little bit weird. But once you make your own, save it as a template and use it. You don't have to make your own every single time. So for the fabricators, you would go just give them a few different. I'm actually going to do a front view. It's much easier. There we go. And you know that you're, you know what scale you're drawing this at. So it's 1/4 equals 1 foot. Again, just quick, like if you had to do this fast for a fabricator, go to, this is your text block. I would just type directly right on the front. I already forgot what I said. One-fourth equals 1 foot. So I would just type right on there, 1/4 of an inch equals 1 foot. Oops. Starting to feel like I'm rushed here, but I'm going to try to get you as much information as I can. And then you can click that, go over here, and you know, change the scale and stuff to make it look right on your screen. And then the same thing, just do what I just did. Go to the text box, put some text in there. This is heart trampoline sculpture, and then the date, whatever you want. You can, I mean, it just depends on how professional you want to be. And if you want to look at other styles of CAD drawings, you can find those online as well and just see what all that information is. But really, you just need to give them a few key dimensions. Because we're using the dimension tool here. And they can use their little scale rule for all the rest, you know, whatever that is. And then I would create a second page. You can do that by going to your pages box, and you can find all those again in window pages. And you can copy the page. So now my page 2 looks just like page 1. Say I go to page 2 and I change the scale. You know, if I go back to page 1, it's still there, kind of thing. So you can just keep making pages. And if I go into page 2 and I want to show the top view on page 2 and go back to page 1 and you've got the front view, you can just do all your different views really quickly in that way, and then add dimensions as you go. And honestly, that would be enough to give to the fabricator, I think, as an artist. That would be more than enough. Usually, again, artists don't really have that that skill set. All right, we are at 10:53. I can keep showing more, but if we want to do questions, what do you think?
I think we should open it up for questions now. There is one in the chat box. I know you recommended earlier the Justin Geis SketchUp Essentials, so I plugged that link into the chat box to Justin Geis's website for SketchUp tutorials. But are there any other websites, books, videos that you might recommend to help learn quickly?
SketchUp itself has some really basic tutorials in there as well. If you end up doing the paid version like I have, their website has all that, from simple basic moves. I mean, a lot of the stuff I showed you, each one of those moves, they can talk for about 15 minutes about each one. So, I mean, really what I wanted to do in this workshop is show you what's possible and how fast you can get from point A to point B without having to know everything there is to know about all the ins and outs of SketchUp and Layout. But as you know, as you go, I definitely recommend to go on the Google, and if you have a question, just type in that question, and most likely it'll come up.
Is there anybody else that has questions that didn't get chat? Oh yeah, here comes one into the chat box. Hi, Katie, and thanks. Just checking this out to possibly recommend to some other artists, if that's okay. Spread the link to your recordings. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you, Nori. That's awesome. Let me pop that link to our YouTube page in the chat box. Please share far and wide. We have currently up there four workshops that Bill did for us back in, what was that, October of last year? And then there will be 2 more uploaded today's and the one that we did 2 weeks ago. But also, in addition to what Bill is teaching us about these softwares, we've done workshops on Public Art 101, how to apply for projects. We've also done a series of workshops with an attorney from Los Angeles on copyright and contracts and different things like that. So please feel free to share that. My screen has just popped over to my other screen, and so I'm not sure how to get back, but I'm going to put that link to our YouTube page in the chat box. And Bill has just shared his email with everyone in the chat box too. So check that out. If you have further questions about SketchUp or Layout, or maybe some other softwares that he taught workshops about in the past, please contact him. If that's okay, Bill, for me to say that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right. I'm getting back situated here so I can find my other screen. There we go. Any other questions from anyone today on SketchUp or Layout, or any other things you might want to see from workshops from us in the future?
We are always open to suggestions. So, feel free to be in touch with us about any kinds of workshops, professional development, or otherwise that you think might be useful to the field. We are here to help. And I just want to thank Bill for doing all these. They've been really pretty wonderful and in depth. It's a lot to chew on for all of us. I also want to thank our crew, Katie, Barry, and Doug, for working so hard to pull these together, and then obviously all you folks out there for joining us. As Katie mentioned at the outset, we are planning a pretty hefty group of webinars in April. They'll feature artists who've designed pedestrian bridges, overpasses, streetscapes, and a wide range of other things, community well sites. And so there'll be different kinds of projects with insights about how to involve fabricators and other creative thinkers in your projects early, and how important that is. And that's certainly a theme that has been throughout. And I think as Bill indicated here, we have a lot of public art is not a solo act. And there's a lot of help in our field with fabricators, planners, and other thinkers to help us do the work that we do. And I think if that's a message to carry away, I would encourage that. With that, I would thank everyone. If there's any other thoughts from Katie, Bill, Barry, or Doug on this, welcome to hear them now before we adjourn. Seeing none. Thank you, one and all. Stay tuned. There'll be links on our website for the upcoming workshops in April. The first one will be next Thursday, same bat time and bat channel. We'll see you then.
Awesome. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Take
See you,
care,
Bill.
all.
Thanks.